I just want to ask you something real quick. Let's say I played Hades for around 15 hours. I've unlocked a small chunk of the upgrades, stumbled across boons that I have barely any idea how it synergizes with my build, and managed to down the final boss by some sheer chance and reach the surface for the first time. Then I review the game, saying how the story is the major selling point and that it has really flashy animations. But the game mechanics are a little complicated. 8 out of 10. Is this a valid review? Let's say I played Binding of Isaac for around 10 hours, using the starter character Isaac, picking up every item that I have no idea what each do, and finally managed to down Mom for the first time. I praised the game for its variety in items, but the cardinal controls are kind of outdated in 2022, it's a little clunky, and there's too much RNG involved in runs. 7 out of 10. Is this a valid review? Let's say I played Slay the Spire for around 20 hours, playing as Ironclad and picking up every card that I think looks cool but have otherwise no idea how they synergize with one another. I pick up the Corruption card for the first time and realize it single-handedly carried me through the game, beating the Act 3 boss for the first time. I put up a review saying how the card approach is very unique in the roguelike genre, praising the game for its degree of freedom when building your deck, but runs take too long and there's too much discrepancy between card quality. Corruption is clearly the best card in the game. 8 out of 10. Is this a valid review? Today I wanted to cover a topic that's been weighing on my mind for a while. Being a fan of the roguelike genre, a specialty of games from this category is in its difficulty design. Reviewing roguelikes is a little different from other genres. If you answered that any of my reviews of the 3 games I mentioned are invalid, why is that? To what degree does it make someone qualified to judge a roguelike in its entirety? To what degree do you need to have played the games to have an accurate picture of its quality? Let's take things one step at a time and really step into the unworldly phenomenon that is roguelikes. In a world where the video game medium has been ever growing in popularity, it becomes harder and harder for a game to stand out from the rest, and thus enter the roguelike genre. Unlike convention in gaming experiences, the player progression of playing a roguelike can feel very different. One aspect that the genre boasts that cannot be replicated in other genres is replayability. Once you die, you are kicked all the way back to the beginning. Spend some points, unlocking some upgrades, do another run, die again. But making it a little further this time, and repeat. While the game is technically you embarking on a run over and over again, the sheer amount of variety and randomness can offer hundreds of hours of enjoyment regardless of what game you're playing. But here's the thing. How long does it take to explore everything a roguelike has in store? In order to accurately review a roguelike, you would expect that the reviewer would have played the game a fair bit, have known pretty much all there is to come up with an accurate judgment that viewers can feel satisfied with. Should the reviewer take 10 hours, 20 hours, or 50 hours playing the game? Now let's be real here, a single successful run of any roguelike really shouldn't take that long. Out of all the ones I've played, usually 1 hour is enough to down the final boss and end your run. But sometimes, more often than not, we see a big disconnect whenever reviewers say one thing, yet players of a game says another. Now, this is to no surprise when the reception around a game is different for players that are actively playing it and engaging with the community versus someone that just stumbled across the game on a sale, picked it up, and tried out for 10 hours. No matter what game you play, no matter which genre, you're either an insider or an outsider. However, just how long do you need to engage with a game to be considered an insider? This question is especially important for roguelikes, as there's no definite end to games of this genre. They are designed to be played over and over again. There will usually be a point in time where you finally get a roguelike, understand its mechanics, how items interact with one another, what the nuances between choosing one item over another are. So how long will it take for one to get the game? If I beat Binding of Isaac once, but have only unlocked 20% of the items and characters yet, did I get the game? If I beat Hades once, haven't played with every weapon aspect or keepsakes yet, did I get the game? If I beat Risk of Rain 2 once with one character but did not learn anything about obliterating or have played any of the other characters, did I get the game? So I was on a forum once, and someone stated that the tainted lost character in Binding of Isaac takes at least 150 hours of playtime to understand. Are they right? Do I really need to spend the time equaling twice the runtime of the entirety of Breaking Bad? 40 more hours to beat the entirety of Witcher 3 and its DLCs to understand one character from a roguelike? No, of course not. That's stupid. In fact, if you ask me, Tainted Lost is one of my least favorite characters from the game. I mean, you literally have no health, your run ends the instant you take any form of damage, and you are soft-coded to not encounter any items that could give you extra lives. But I am sure every time I die as Tainted Lost, it must be a skill issue on my end. You know, I will unironically prefer to do a run with Jacob and Esau, but this is a topic that will be saved for another time. My point with all of this is, the roguelike genre is one that demands you to understand its mechanics if you wish to master it. In a lot of cases, yeah, you could spend 10 hours grinding out a win, not understand anything about the game and move on to the next game on your catalog, but to truly become a fan of a roguelike will take patience and time. And this is what I really like about the genre. All roguelikes, even if they look similar, all function fundamentally differently. If I'm so good at Dead Cells, how come I suck at Skull the Hero Slayer? They're both Metroidvania-esque games, both platformers, and have similar hack-and-slash combat with many items to synergize your build with. The thing is that because the roguelike genre tends to be indie games, its mechanic is untainted by the copy-and-paste gameplay from the so-called AAA developers. If you play one Ubisoft game, you pretty much played them all. If you're good at FPSs, you'll probably feel right at home with any Call of Duty game. The thing is that a lot of modern releases these days share the similar formula. An impressive open world with nothing to do, generic characters and shallow story, the same repetitive combat with a linear upgrade system. It feels like playing a game I've already played. It's time to give me something new. With each Battlefield game, you can literally predict which mechanics will be present. In fact, you can literally do a checklist of all the features that are missing, and you know the game is gonna suck ass anyway, so you should probably stop buying them. The thing about roguelikes is that you can't predict anything about them. Even if they have mechanics that feel similar to something you've already seen, how long will it take to understand the lore, fluidity of the character movements, the level layouts, and the boss designs? This is the reason why I've been so fascinated with roguelikes, and why I've been covering content on one for such a long time. So to answer the question, what is the problem with reviewing roguelikes? And for that, I can only think of one answer. Realistically, I can only say that it depends. All roguelikes are single-player games. There's really no limit of what you can and can't do. Like in Dark Souls, there's no such thing as a best-in-slot item, or having a build that can cheese the game. The only thing you're limited by is your own knowledge of the game and experience. When a reviewer says where a roguelike does and does not do well, really take that with a grain of salt. Roguelikes are not known to have formulaic gameplay. You're not supposed to be able to predict the mechanics and progression of any one of them. You're not supposed to win the game 100% of the time. And you're not supposed to know how long it will take for you to get the game. This is a genre that appeals to a specific fanbase, but it appeals to that fanbase very well. The thing is that with roguelikes, the truth about it is always changing. If you ever find yourself unable to beat a roguelike, just know that feeling frustrated is all part of the experience. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go die to Millennia for the 420th time.